Hey everybody, welcome back to HealthCare Consumerism Radio. This is Brent Macy, Managing Director of the Institute for HealthCare Consumerism, along with CEO and founder of the Institute for HealthCare Consumerism, Doug Field. And what we want to talk about here a little bit is our 2015 events. And again, thank Chris for his time on the previous segment, and thank him again for being on the Private Exchange general session that we had at IHC Forum West. And moving into our events for 2015, and we talked with a lot of companies out there about this week, is our IHC Forum and Expos we're going to have next year, but we're actually adding a new event. We're adding Private Exchange Forum in Dallas, Texas, March 31st through April 1st, to really drill down on private exchanges and defined contribution. And Doug, that's as we always talk about, a very big topic, and you and John Young, as the co-chair, are pulling together that program as we speak.
Yeah, I think, to step back and even look at our events, we're excited about where we're going with our events next year. And, our June event, IHC Forum and Expo, will, grow to 1,100 plus, people and address all the different moving parts of healthcare consumerism, from digital health and telehealth and wearables, supplemental health, voluntary, transparency, engagement, to certainly defined contribution exchanges. And IHC Forum and Expo West in November, we'll do the same, address it. But as we look at this exchange market, and Chris was kind of talking about it from his expert seat at Connection, there's just so many different moving parts of understanding defined contribution exchange. I mean, take that defined contribution. It's been around forever, but it's still really, really misunderstood. And then how's defined contribution and private exchange married together? What are all the models out there that somebody should take a look at when they're considering an exchange for the workforce? And our goal with both privateexchanges.com, our database on private exchanges, HealthCare Exchange Solutions, our publication, our newsletters, our web community, is to be the place that the industry can come and seek to understand. Find some of the solutions, look at the case studies, look at some of the research, understand. So we felt that while our current forums really, have exchange content and defined contribution content that's going to continue to be, a deep part of those events, exchanges your healthcare consumers is far beyond just exchange content. But we felt the need to have a deep dive, 2-day pure discussion, to your point earlier, Brent, on nothing except defined contribution to private exchanges. So we're rolling out Private Exchange Forum in Dallas, March 31st through April 1st. We're real excited about it. We're excited about bringing employers there and getting those stakeholders, just like we do our other events, flowing in there, and really focus on attendee development. It's our core thing. Get the program right and get the attendees there so this market can, interact with each other and seek to understand. We're working closely with a couple employer groups in the state of Texas that we'll be able to announce, but it is a national event. But we're looking closely with some employer groups in Texas to make sure that they and their members, get there. So we're excited about having a national presence in Atlanta in June, one in Dallas in March, and in November, Forum and Expo West in the November timeframe.
Now, going back to Private Exchange Forum, and you'd mentioned it just recently, is there's a lot of information that employers, brokers, insurers, that they all need to really understand. I talked to multiple brokers at the event this week who said, hey, I'm already signed up to come to IHC Forum and Expo, but tell me more about the private exchange event. And after talking to them, they said, yeah, I want to sign up for that as well, just because I need to understand all those moving pieces. From a program standpoint, Doug, what's the format going to look like?
It's going to be relatively similar to what we do with our Forum and Expo, except we're going to have more general sessions, keep more people in that same room. It's smaller. It's going to be between 300 and 400 people, limited to 30, 35 sponsors. So, we're walking before we run. Have a quality group of people in that room, keep them together, interact, have 3 workshop tracks of 3 sessions each, that people will be able to spin off and go to take a deep dive into some of the niche subjects like health management and exchanges. We'll have a couple of workshops focused on the small employer, So for both brokers working with the small employer and small employers themselves, because, we're focused on the 250 life and up companies as our core with our events in the Institute, but we're going to carve out some special programs, for a small employer to come because they don't have the deep resources to figure it out, like others do. And we'll, in the general sessions, we will have, panels represented by some of the key stakeholders. There'll be a pure employer panel where there'll be 4 employers talking about what they're doing in an exchange, what they have done in exchange, what's the next generation, of the model, where are they evolving their exchange model, what challenges have they faced with their workforce, how are they looking to get over those challenges and move their programs forward. We'll have an opening that'll have a consultant advisor, probably a consultant with an exchange, a technology platform provider, and a broker, all giving their outlook on where they see the industry today and where they see the industry going. We'll certainly talk about compliance and exchanges. I think Mike Smith, said it well. He says, if you go define contributions to private exchanges, it doesn't mean you're moving away from the compliance concerns that you need to have about your employee population.
And Mike, one of the things that he had talked about at the event earlier this week is there's a lot of different models out there. And Chris had just mentioned that in the previous segment, a lot of different models that are out there, and what should somebody be looking at? I think, Doug, when somebody leaves the Private Exchange Forum, is the goal to have them understand all the different models, or the goal for them to look at, how this drives down their cost, or both?
I think all of the above. I think you're going to have people coming to Private Exchange. Great question, Brent. You're going to have attendees coming to Private Exchange Forum to look and understand exchanges for the first time. They're going to, come and want to network and want to discuss, want to hear the experts and understand, hey, is this something we should even consider for fall, meaning 2016 plan year? It's why we're holding it March 31st, because you're right in the wheelhouse helping these people, make these decisions. You're going to have a second group coming into a forum that's saying, okay, what's the next generation? We've had an exchange in place for a year or even 2 years. So what does the next generation of our exchange need to look like? What are other peers like us doing that'll be in that room to create a better benefit experience? How is a company using defined contribution to help manage costs? And is it helping them manage cost? What exchange models are truly helping us, manage our HR and benefit resources better, and really helping us not only improve that benefit experience, but really better manage the resources that we need to have dedicated to that. Obviously, in the first year or two, you got to have a lot of resources dedicated because you got to educate, communicate, and get people used to using it. And around those employers will be brokers coming and consultants coming and TPAs coming to say, how do we serve our clients better? How do we understand how to help our clients make the right choice, and move the right direction with the defined contribution and exchange model? Yeah,
and just from our conversations, and the reason I really asked that question is we've talked to employers who've said before, a private exchange isn't right for me. Fast forward to where it is today, and so that answer came 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to right now, that mindset's changing, and it's changing rather quickly. And there was some groups that I talked to, some employers that I talked to at West just this week, and they said the same thing. And I'm bookmarking that to see, does that mindset change over the next couple years, and do they move towards that private exchange? Option technology, because a lot of them are full replacement. They're already at that place where they've got the HSA with the high deductible, so it's a next natural progression for them if they can see the cost savings. I think that is the big piece. If they can see the cost savings in moving to a private exchange, and they can see that, and you say this all the time, they can see that the usability of it is there for their employee population, it really is kind of the no-brainer type solution. But that's going to be really interesting to see over the next couple of years.
And I'll tell you, and it will be, Brent, and the other part of our exchange conference content will be what is included in an exchange and also what needs to be around an exchange. And being around an exchange is what you just talked about before, an effective health management program. Mm-hmm. An overall communication and education program around engagement in your health management program, engagement in your exchange. What needs to be in an exchange? Obviously, there's a phase one, which is going to be your major medical and probably some core supplemental. But then where do you move it to? By adding the transparency tools that consumers need to help them be that better consumer of healthcare. Add the telehealth components, that help them access, cost-effective care and preventive care via telehealth and some of the video health, services that are out there. Building out the complete benefit experience. The voluntary benefit players, quite candidly, their mouths are watering because they see an exchange being a distribution platform for them, and it will be. But the interesting part is if you're going to say to an employee and their families, here's an amount of money for you to spend on benefits, now go seek what you need and what you want, then give them the choice. Mm-hmm. You need to give them the choice. And that includes even on the front side. I read a report today about consumers wanting to choose their HSA, not having the employer or health plan say, here's who it is. Mm-hmm. We use, ABC HSA provider tied this up. No, a consumer needs to go in exchange and says, hey, here's our community bank with an HSA. Here's HSA Bank, here's Wells Fargo, whoever. I'm not trying to eliminate the names, but here's choices.
Right, and I'll throw some out there. We've actually got some early sponsors for Private Exchange Forum that came out of the event this week. We do have, this just to name a few, Fair Health, which is a healthcare transparency company in New York, is going to be sponsoring the event. So they see the tie-in that transparency has within these private exchange platforms. And then two really thought-leading banks out there, Avidia Bank and Select Account, that's owned by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota, are both early sponsors for the event as well. And so that's where you now see, to your point, Doug, these HSA providers saying, we need to be embedded as an option in these private exchange platforms. And I almost look at it like somebody who's trying to get something on the shelves at Target. You scratch and you claw because, hey, if I can get something on the shelves at Target and stay on that shelf, whether it's bottom shelf, top shelf, or middle shelf, it's better than not being on the shelf at all.
Yep.
And so we've got a lot of players out there from a voluntary benefit standpoint as well looking at that because they see it, to your point, as a distribution strategy for that. So Private Exchange Forum, March 31st through April 1st, the deep dive on private exchange and defined contribution. And the point we do want to make is that our other events, our anchor events, have defined contribution and private exchanges deeply embedded in it. And the reason that I talk to companies about this all the time is if you don't understand healthcare consumerism, you're not going to go ahead and make the jump to private exchanges. Right. So that's the value of our two anchor events for those of you out there that are looking to attend the events is understand the anchor events with healthcare consumerism, and then you're going to better understand private exchange forum because your employee population understands healthcare consumerism as a whole. But everybody stay tuned for the next segment of HealthCare Consumerism Radio.